Good evening, good morning. I'm Gaston the Ginger, and today we're going to be covering a weirdo TikToker claiming that white people should not adopt children of color. Why? Because that's colonialism, obviously. Then we cover AOC changing her definition of what it means to be rich, because that's what authoritarian communist types do. They like to change definitions. Then we cover CNN completely losing it on national TV. And finally, the immigration problem is a lot worse than we thought. Like, a lot worse. It seems the only thing the Biden administration is good at is breaking records.
So the myth that we usually hear about adoption is that it's like a nice family adopting a child in need to give them a better life. As someone who was interested in adoption, I actually looked into stories from adoptees themselves, and what I learned horrified me. First of all, the history of the adoption system where I live in the United States is extremely colonial. It was built on a history of taking children of color from their families to give to white parents who could give them a, quote, better life, which is very racist, obviously. Our adoption system today still operates off that same implicit bias and racism. Black children, for example, are nearly twice as likely to end up in foster care based on their percentage of the population of the U.S. in total. Transracial adoptions are also disproportionately represented in these statistics, with 90% of transracial adoptions being white parents adopting children of color, centering this idea of white saviorship.
So this is the thing now. Let's get something straight. Adoption is one of the kindest and nicest thing a person could do. Plucking a kid out of a life of misery where they don't have a home to call their own or a loving family to call their own and giving it to them, giving them a home and a loving family, anyone that could do that should be able to adopt. None of this white colonialism. And if you're wondering, where does this sickness come from? Did this TikToker come up with it? No. It comes from critical race theory, aka they're actual racists. Ibram X. Kendi, the top guy who gives speeches at universities and the top companies and writes books that teachers show to your children, has accused Supreme Court Judge Amy Coney Barrett of being a white colonizer. Why? Because she adopted 2 black children. Next story! AOC changes her definition of what it means to be rich.
This is the trick that people use all the time, right? They want you to think that when we talk about rich, we're talking about a doctor or a lawyer instead of someone with hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. That's what we mean by rich.
Now you may be thinking why I'm bringing this up, but she used to say that anyone making 6 figures was considered rich. But now that she's making $174,000 a year salary, plus a merch store, plus extravagant gifts like $30,000 ticket to the Met Gala, she's changing her tune. And it sounds familiar. Like Bernie Sanders. He used to say, the millionaires and the millionaires. And then he wrote a book, became a millionaire, and he changed his tune to the billionaires and the billionaires. These communist authoritarian types, always changing the definition, always moving the goalpost. Before we move on to the next story, we're going to stay on AOC a little bit, because when she introduced the designer of her Tax the Rich dress, she introduced her as my designer. She's a immigrant woman of color. Now, when one hears immigrant woman of color, you instantly, at least I think of a person who's had a hardship in her past and who has to come here and face discrimination and hardships. But no, her designer is an immigrant, sure, but not from El Salvador or Honduras. No, she's from Canada. And is she oppressed? No, she's dating a billionaire. Maybe she's the oppressor. I mean, according to AOC's Marxism, she should be, right?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Next story! Since we're on the topic of immigration, why not talk about illegal immigration? Back in June, I made a video and I mentioned that Joe Biden broke a record. 120,000 illegal immigrants in the month of June. Good job, Joe. That's a big number. And we asked ourselves, could he break that number? It's a hefty one. But lo and behold, Joe, he did it again. Because he's fantastic and the most popular president we've ever had. In the month of August, we got 200,000 illegal immigrants. Good job, Joe. Seriously, good job. Here's some video of that. Oops, I CNN'd you. I lied to you a little bit because that video is not from August. That video is from today, September 16th. Can't wait to see the September numbers. I bet Joe broke his new record. And you know what? We're getting reports that some of these people are from Haiti or parts of Africa. Isn't that weird? If they're seeking asylum and they fly to Mexico, why not stay there instead of walking to the US or crossing the river? Like this. And you know, Joe probably just lets them in because he wants to keep breaking records. Joe Biden, the record-breaking president. I bet he loves the tune of that. What? Did I break records this month? Oh, good, Kamala, keep taking over. Oh.
That's crazy.
Next story. CNN keeps trying to divide the population. Now, Don Lemon says we need to shame the dirty, disgusting, uncomplying, unvaccinated people. And while he's doing this hateful rhetoric, Chris Cuomo's standing there like this.
Stop coddling people when it comes to this and the vaccine, saying, oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are. The people who aided and abetted Trump are stupid because they believed his big lie. The people who are not getting vaccines, who are believing the lies on the internet instead of science, it's time to start shaming them. What else? Or leave them behind.
But wait, there's more. If you subscribe now, we get another story. This time, CNN comparing Republicans to the Taliban. Seriously.
The right. But the thing that is so disgusting to me is the same Republicans who will not condemn Saturday's attendees or the rally are the same ones blasting the Biden administration about Afghanistan. And when I look at the people who come on Saturday, I draw very close parallels to the Taliban.
I could stop the clip right there, but that would be disingenuous. That would be something CNN would do. That would be dishonest. So here's the rest of the clip.
I just want to point out that's a very extreme example, and to equate them to the Taliban, obviously very oppressive, violent regime. But go ahead.
Honesty and context, something CNN does not provide. So like and subscribe. Now I wish I could trash all of CNN today, but that lady had to ruin the party for us, didn't she? Yeah. And it seems like we are out of stories. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share. I'll see you next time.